All right, thank you for your patience, y'all. I'm going to take just a little bit more time to get everything set up, and then I will be ready to go. All right, let me just make sure that my stuff is still working. All right, let me just make sure that my Okay. Almost ready. Sure. There we go. All right. Thank you for your patience, y'all. I believe I am ready to get started. I will take a brief moment and talk about the new version of the deck that I have released just this morning, actually. Still not completely polished. That'll need still a little bit of work. So there might be a couple of questionable choices that perhaps you'll want to consider for yourself if it will be the right thing for you. Yes, the audio widget is yet another one of my custom programming jobs. In fact, I don't even know if I have it enabled on this screen. Yeah, there it goes. But yeah, it's nice to know what you're listening to. And I have links to this artist's YouTube stuff in the description for this stream. But yeah, this is version 3.1.0. Decided on a new minor version. Figured that was in order given the Nadu ban yesterday. And honestly, possibly even more telling, only 3 Mishra's Bobble. I know that a lot of folks in the Discord have been high on Mishra's Bobble, and I understand why this is, but I'm not entirely certain that 4 is the correct number. Mishra's Bobble does thin your deck, but it also has the same problem as things like I think I had a conversation with MTGO where we compared it to Street Wraith or to Manamorphose, where it will be something, but we don't know what exactly that something is. And without a way to interact with the top card of our deck via either a fetch land or a mill rock of some sort, then, oh, grouping by tags, there we go. Without having some way of interacting with the top card of our deck, then it's just not really all that good. And in situations where you really need something ASAP, it is terrible because it will draw you the card on the next upkeep, not immediately. So I decided to go down to 3 and treat Bobble less as a mainstay of a deck and more as a just another consistency tool. And especially in the sideboard plan that I'm going to be testing in this league, it will be sided out a lot in favor of things in the sideboard. I think the single spiciest inclusion that I have at this point is a singleton Cling to Dust. I am including Cling to Dust using the same justification that I use to include Collective Brutality. It's not good at any one thing, but it is good at a number of different things. A jack of all trades of sorts. Certainly not going to master anything. If you really need something to gain you life, then you will be looking towards the Underworld Cookbook. If you really need something to draw cards, then surely you have better options than 4 mana, exile 5 cards from your graveyard. Interesting. You know, Cyclone, if you can link a card, I might actually consider that. I haven't actually started my league yet. So let's go ahead and go to Scryfall real quick. Ah, yeah. Cremate is really... I wouldn't use Cremate because the flexibility of Cling to Dust allows me to gain life if I need to. And sometimes I don't need the card in hand, but I do need the 3 life. And the idea with Cling to Dust is that I could, game 1, exile a Flage, for example, gain 3 life, not draw a card, keep my hand less full for a bridge. But if I do need Cling to draw a card, then I can just target literally anything that's not a creature, and it'll be perfectly fine. Well, let's go ahead and do a quick search then. Is that the sort of template that uses? It's a different version. Exile target card, yeah. Ah, yep. See, Cremate and Shadow Feed, maybe Shadow Feed is the card that you were talking about. Uh, Cling to Dust is basically both of those in a single card. And you can use it as either one or the other, depending on what you need. And yeah, the Escape might be relevant in longer, grindier matchups, maybe. But I'm also running Grafdigger's Cage in the main, and I recognize that this is a bit of a non-bow. But I'm not convinced that that's going to be that much of a problem. The Beckon Apparition is interesting, though. Huh. Although I'm not sure that Beckon Apparition would be better than just the gaining 3 life, or the flexibility that drawing a card would provide. So I will keep that on the back burner for now. Mickey is saying that content creators suggest that Goryo's Reanimator and Indomitable Creativity decks will be the best non-energy decks in the new meta. I would like to agree with that statement, which is why I have actually taken, I believe this was a suggestion from the discussion thread, the discussion stream yesterday. I have a Grafdigger's Cage in my sideboard as well as in the main. So I can side into up to 2 Grafdigger's Cages if I really want to. The crux of the discussion yesterday was that you could bring in something like Soul Guide Lantern, Nile Spellbomb, I don't know, any number of other graveyard hate rocks that we have, but nothing comes quite close to Grafdigger's Cage in terms of just the sheer amount of power that it has to stop the strategies that are using the graveyard. Essentially, the only thing that Grafdigger's Cage would not stop is Murktide Regent, maybe? It doesn't stop Psychic Frog, for example. So the Dimir Frogtide deck, Grafdigger's Cage just isn't effective against. But anything that is actually trying to use their graveyard to any advantage, Grafdigger's Cage will stop. And it also has a significant amount of splash damage against the Court of Calling decks that are still kicking around. That Yawgmoth combo is still kicking around. The Warren Soul Trader deck is still kicking around. And those need answers as well. Having a second Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard, I think, will help out with that. Let's go ahead and... Oh, if it doesn't stop creativity, then that's unfortunate. Let me go ahead and read that real quick. Indomitable creativity. Indomitable. Yeah, you are correct. It does not stop Indomitable Creativity, because Indomitable Creativity puts the cards into exile first. So it's much like how it doesn't stop Living End. But they also run the red polymorph, I think. And it will stop the red polymorph. So I'm going to have to read that in a little more detail. Fortunately, I do have a ton of discard in my sideboard to deal with situations like that. So that is my main board. For my sideboard, I have Transmog. Let's go ahead and read that. I'm sure that'll pull up the full thing. Transmogrify. Yes, it will stop Transmogrify. All right, that's fine. It's a shame that it won't stop creativity, though. Maybe I'll still keep it in just for that, though. I'm not sure. I'll have to actually look at a creativity list if I come across it. But for the sideboard, I have gone a fairly different route pretty consistently for almost the entire time I've been streaming, actually. I've gone a very different route than a lot of Lantern players, in that I do not have any sort of real, like, hate rocks in my sideboard. Yeah, I think, Thinker is saying that Extirpate would be good answer to both Creativity and Goryo's. And if they actually do start running Faithful Mending, then that would be pretty good. And Extirpate will be excellent against those decks, and that's why I've got the 2 Extirpate in the sideboard. I'm not running any sort of Hate Rocks. You will not see a Soulless Jailer in my sideboard. There will be no... what's that card? It is Cursed Totem. There's no Cursed Totems. There's no Damping Spheres. There is no Torpor Orbs. I am instead electing for a more, hopefully, a more generic answer to these sorts of situations. I have 3 Duress in my sideboard, which has been proven to be extraordinarily flexible. It allows me to side out my Inquisitions for Duresses when I need to, kind of mirroring the builds from before Modern Horizons 3. And it can also just side in on top of all of my discards. So I can go up to 12 discard, which, again, has been incredibly nice against combo spell-based combo decks, like Ruby Storm, for example, just shredding their hand to pieces. I've also elected to play some creature removal in my sideboard. I've got Assassin's Trophy as a catch-all, but that doesn't really come in against faster matchups. But these Blood Chief's Thirst, I figured that it was probably safer to play Blood Chief's Thirst now that Nadu is not a problem, and you don't need the Revolt for Fatal Push in order to kill Nadu. So Blood Chief's Thirst will hit Flipwalkers after they flip, and Fatal Push will not. Also, I couldn't really Revolt Fatal Push very well, so it really came down to instant versus sorcery, and I'm not entirely convinced that instant speed Fatal Push is necessary. I've also got in my sideboard the Toxic Deluge. Last time I streamed, Toxic Deluge came in absolutely clutch against a creature combo deck, wiping their board and allowing my constructs to swing in. And Flaying Tendrils, which is something that... let me see if I can... Yes, it's something that Taddy has been experimenting with. Taddy, if you don't know, is probably the Lantern player currently with the strongest results in the most competitive in the most competitive events. Taddy has been playing challenges once a week, and their list is published weekly in the challenge dumps. That Flaying Tendrils is something that they've been experimenting with because it can be found off of Ancient Stirrings. It has no color. And Stirrings only cares about colorless cards. So it will find a colorless sorcery, just like it'll find a land or a colorless artifact. And it essentially acts as a emergency bridge number 5 in certain situations. I am going to test out Flaying Tendrils in this build, see how it performs. But yeah, there's nothing else particularly spicy about this list. I feel like I'm starting to stabilize into something more consistent. The build will never actually be in a finished state because that's not how Magic works. You always have to be innovating. You always have to be improving. But I'm pretty happy with this. So give me just a minute. I will go ahead and queue up a match and we will get started. All right, and we are in round 1 versus Ignitus97. Say hello, Ignitus. To Ignitus, I suppose. This hand, what does this hand accomplish? This hand has a way to dig for my third land. It has a Collective Brutality in an emergency situation that can help me either take a card out of a Storm opponent's hand, maybe kill a creature, perhaps take a counterspell out of a control player's hand. And it has Ensnaring Bridge, and it has an Urza Saga. I think that this hand is a snap keep. Flooded Strand, that's a very interesting start. Let's go ahead and attempt this Pixis. See if my opponent fires off a Force of Negation on this. That would be pretty nice. They did not. And I'm not going to crack Bauble just yet. If my opponent fetches a Surveil land and surveils to top, I want to be able to take it. They did not. A lot of stops set. I don't think I need all of these stops. Ah, well. That's what I get for F16, huh? Well, now I'm left in a pretty interesting situation. Prismatic Ending. They milled a Solitude. This tells me that they're likely on 4-color control. I need to find my third land, but I don't necessarily need to find it right away. I'm going to look at the top of their deck. Yep, it's 4-color control. If I had been smarter about... There's the third land. There's the fourth land, even. If I had been smarter about keeping my Pixis around, then I think that would have been something that I should have just done the Pixis Bauble loop on. But I did not. Instead, I've got this. Alright, so they've got the One Ring that's coming off the top. They have a Lorien revealed in hand, which I'm definitely taking. So let's go ahead and take that Lorien revealed, actually. And they've got the One Ring in hand now. Zagoth Triumph is going. Interestingly enough, I don't believe they have a... Well, I suppose they actually would be able to interact. They've got Galvanic Discharge and Leyline Binding in hand. But, you know, I think that's okay. If they use a Supreme Verdict on my constructs, then I'm a very happy camper. I will just go ahead and make my constructs and force my opponent to answer them. If my opponent slams a One Ring here, then I'm going to be very happy. Fantastic. So they're going to be able to cantrip. Let's go ahead and make our construct. And depending on what I draw for turn, I think I would rather grab a Pithing Needle here for that One Ring. Let's go ahead and grab a Pithing Needle for the One Ring. Hello, Maple. It's nice to see you in chat. I'm only playing 2 Pithing Needles. Oop, don't name Pithing Needle with Pithing Needle. That would be terrible. Let's go ahead and name the One Ring. All right. And now I'm going to make these creatures larger than Galvanic Discharge by playing out this... Would I rather have Codex Shredder or Grafter's Cage? I think in this situation, I'd rather have Codex Shredder. And I don't need to attack. My opponent has protection from everything. So here, if my opponent just slams a Supreme Verdict, I would be extremely happy. Instead, they're going to use Leyline Binding, which is interesting. All right. I suppose that's fine. They still need to answer my constructs, though. They do have Galvanic Discharge, and if they drew an untapped land somewhere in there, then they've got Supreme Verdict. That should help. Galvanic Discharge is being used on a construct. Ah, Profane Tutor. I think I'm going to fire off my stirrings now. Interesting. I have my Codex Shredder in play, right? I actually think I'm going to take the Mishra's Bauble. I'm really looking for an answer to the One Ring at this point. And do I just suspend the Profane Tutor here? Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. My opponent's going to take a bit of damage, and the One Ring is going to go off. Let's see what they surveil. They got rid of a Subtlety. I think that's probably correct. And here they're going to fall to 9 from the One Ring. And they're going to draw a ton of cards. The only thing that I know for sure is in their hand is that Supreme Verdict. Everything else is a complete unknown. Interesting. Are they going to Wrath of the Skies me here? I think they might be Wrath of the Skies me. Yeah, I bet they're Wrath of the Skies me. Oh, they're playing another One Ring. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so that is down to 6 cards in hand. I'll go ahead and look at the top card of my own deck. I don't want another Inquisition. Interesting. Okay, well, first off, let's go ahead and attack. Well, I guess actually we can't attack. And I can't actually do much here, so I'll go ahead and just play the Grafdigger's Cage. And it is now on my opponent to again answer this Construct token. They've proven that they can do it. And they just have an insane amount of cards here. I don't even think that my tracker can keep track of that many cards. The Leyline Binding answering the One Ring has been pretty relevant. This is the sort of matchup where those sideboard duresses are going to come in handy. In fact, I'll go ahead and remove all of the other cards in their hand. I know they got a Supreme Verdict and 9 unknowns. It's just up to my opponent to figure out how to best use them. And they have a ton of energy, but they're not actually using any of it. Not sure what's going on with that. Probably got a Wrath of the Skies somewhere, right? This is probably it right here. That is it here. All right, well, I'll go ahead and mill them. And they milled a Leyline Binding. Yep, this is fine. It's important to note here that my opponent is not actually clocking me quite yet. So I will cast this without paying its mana cost. I have a ton of discard in hand. Force of Negation. Very nice. Well, let's go ahead and see what's in my opponent's hand. I know they at least have a Supreme Verdict. That is a counterspell. That's fine. Let's go ahead and do it again. Another Wrath of the Skies and a Teferi Time Raveler. Well, I'll go ahead and take the Teferi. And this Collective Brutality will take that Wrath of the Skies. Perhaps I should have actually discarded the Ensnaring Bridge then. That is an excellent point. I could be able to kill them with ring damage. In fact, they would have had to draw a ring on this turn if I had done that. That's unfortunate. That's a missed play right there. Wrath of the Skies, Teferi are gone. Well, that's a Flage. So perhaps it is best that I left the Ensnaring Bridge in my hand. Let's test the waters with this Lantern of Insight. They have another Flage, huh? Well, they don't have Arena of Glory in hand that I know of. But they did draw a ton of cards that I don't know what they drew. They played the Minamo as a land. Do I think that they drew into yet another counterspell? They've played only 2 counterspells so far this game. Do I really want to test that they have a third one without having this Thoughtseize first? They're going to be able to play the Flage next turn regardless of what they do. They do have a pretty stacked graveyard. I am going to stop piddling about, and I'm going to cast this Ensnaring Bridge. It's likely going to get countered. Might be correct to wait for the Thoughtseize here. Yeah. At the very least, I'll be able to see what they draw now. Yep, they're just churning through their deck here. There's the Arena of Glory. So I'm going to die here. This is just not an option. I'm going to die. And it's going to be because they had the Leyline Binding for the Pithing Needle. So all those cards in the revealed zone are currently in their hand. And they're going to go ahead and escape a Flage. Deal a ton of damage to me. I will go ahead and make them play it out, because it will save me just a little bit of... it doesn't cost me that much clock to do it. And that is game. All right, let's go ahead and start with the next one. Okay, so this is 4-color control. What is bad against 4-color control? They have Flage, but they do not have many ways of getting Flage, any ways of dealing damage to me outside of Flage. So the Underworld Cookbook is not good here. Pithing Needles are very good. I will go ahead and bring those in. Let me think. Extirpate on Flage is pretty close to a game-winning line, I think. I don't know if it is a game-winning line. Yeah, I didn't see any... I didn't see... Now that you all mention it, I didn't actually see any Omnaths or anything like that. Alright, well, let me go ahead and pull up my sideboarding guide for Jeskai. Sideboard guide says to do that, get rid of a Profane Tutor and 3 Mishra's Baubles, and bring in my Terra Sunders and my Duresses. Oh, I suppose the third Pithing Needle is the thing that I brought in, isn't it? I don't know if I need a third Pithing Needle, I suppose. Let me see how I feel about this. So I sided out a Profane Tutor and 3 Mishra's Baubles. I brought in my Terra Sunders. I brought out my Collective Brutalities and brought in Duresses. I could side out the second Profane Tutor and bring in a third Pithing Needle. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think that is an excellent suggestion, Mickey. I'll go ahead and try that. And let me go ahead and update my sideboard guide to reflect that. I would like to play first. Thanks for asking. This is a perfectly serviceable hand. I will keep this. This establishes a very quick lock and hopes that my opponent doesn't have a turn 2 Wrath of the Skies, I suppose. Let's see what my opponent is doing. They still have not made their mulligan decision. Alright, they kept 7. Blooming Marsh, Lantern of Insight. Do I get forced? I do not get forced. They kept their Solitudes in. I'm not sure that I play Urza Saga out on turn 2. Let's see if they keep that Steam Vents on top. They do keep the Steam Vents on top. I wonder how important that is. Well, I don't really want this Blooming Marsh on top of my deck anyway. So I think I will just go ahead, play this Pixis, and take the Steam Vents and see what's underneath. Yes, you may have a Subtlety. And here I will play the Inquisition first. Interesting. How interesting. How do I attack this hand? I'm not worried about Flage. I can't take the One Ring. This hand is mana starved. I could take the Consign to Memory, leave them with Counterspell in hand, and try to attack their mana. But that's also not actually strictly necessary. If I were really serious about attacking their mana, I might even take Tune the Narrative. But I don't think I'm going to go quite that deep into it. This hand is answered pretty cleanly by what I've got going on. I think I'm just going to take their Consign to Memory as their most flexible and mana-intensive card. And I will play my Urza Saga now and test the water with this Codex Shredder. See if they're willing to counterspell this. I think they do counterspell this. I would counterspell this if I was in their position. Yeah, here they go. All right, that's fine. Now the question is, do I take this Thundering Falls? Thundering Falls will allow them to play Flage. If they have another land underneath of it and it's a white land, then that's going to feel pretty bad, though. I think I need to force them to answer my Urza Saga construct, actually. I think we're in that position. Now, what card is in their hand that they played? I took the Consign, I took the Counterspell. They want to draw that Prismatic Ending. Huh. Do I let them draw this? I don't think so. I don't think I need to. Yeah, I'd much rather them draw Solitude. There's the Thundering Falls. And at this point, I actually think that I am on letting them draw lands. That Thoughtseize coming up is going to be quite nice. And let's see. Subtlety, Solitude, Flage, the One Ring Solitude. Which means that this Thoughtseize will not be able to hit Flage, but the Terra Sunder in my hand will. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think this is perfectly fine. I don't even need to get a needle with this Urza Saga. I can just go ahead and start controlling the board. Might even grab at Craftigger's Cage. Are they going to immediately tap it? No, they're not. The One Ring is gone. I think I'll go ahead and Pixis here. Wow, they just let that go. And let's go ahead and Terra Sunder this thing. You may not draw a card. Okay, and now their hand is pretty easily answered. I have this Ensnaring Bridge, which I will cast off of this Urza Saga. I will grab a second Pixis. I'll play this Ensnaring Bridge. And that's pretty much it. I'll go ahead and do Flage things. Or not. No, I don't think I want that Inquisition. I think I'd rather... Terra Sunder's fine, yeah. Let's go ahead and play that out. Do I let them draw the Zagoth Triumph? I think I can let them draw the Zagoth Triumph and just needle it. It's a Solitude. Oh, they didn't even... Alright, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. And I'll go ahead and just deal with this now. I don't... They have a counterspell in hand. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and deal with this now. That's fine. And I can sneak this needle in underneath of a counterspell. Let's go ahead and do that. I do need to win this game relatively quickly. Their hand just doesn't matter at this point. All right, and they got the writing on the wall? Okay, so we are on game 3. Do I want to make any adjustments based on what I have seen? I don't believe so. I think I'm going to be just fine. I don't think I want a second Grafdigger's Cage. 10 discard spells, huh? That's a lot of discard spells. 10 discard spells. Yeah, I think I'm pretty chill with 10 discard spells. They got a lot of counter magic in their deck. They've got Force of Negations, counter spells, and Consigned to Memories that I need to worry about. And the counter spells can also take things like Wrath of the Skies and Prismatic Ending. I think I'm happy with 10 discard spells. This hand is not keepable. This is a mulligan. They have already kept 7. This is a rough keep. This is an extremely risky keep. But do I really think I want to go to 5? I'm going to keep it. The question is, what do I bottom? I'm really far away from casting an Ensnaring Bridge. But if my opponent just goes... If my opponent goes Turbo Flage, then I might be able to answer it with the Terra Sunder. What do my first turns look like? My first turn must be a Lantern. My second turn must be a Shredder if I don't see a land on top of my deck. I think I'm going to put the Ensnaring Bridge on the bottom. I think that it is incredibly risky to do. But I don't know if I have the luxury of keeping it in hand. I think I need to answer... Oh, well. Thoughtseize Bug. And I'm going to grab my shock here, and I'm going to shock it in. If this eats a Force, I'm probably happy. If it eats a Consign, then I'm probably less happy. It's going to eat a Consign. Yeah. All right. I suppose you've got it then. Keeping a one-lander is never fun. Oh, but my opponent also kept a... Oh, no, they didn't keep a one-lander. All right. Well, let's go ahead and Thoughtseize Bug again. You got a Force of Negation for this one? You do not. All right, I am going to let this go. And I will draw that Ancient Stirrings on top of my deck. This is exactly why I fetched the Shockland, because I didn't know what I would be drawing, and because this Terra Sunder was in my hand. Wow, and they had Force of Negation. You got it. Are they just gonna flage me out here? They're gonna One Ring me. All right. Land number two. Land number two. Let's go ahead and play that on the black side. Daze is not legal in this format, so I think I'll just go ahead and play Codex Shredder, and they are tapped. They are F6'd. Let's go ahead and hit that One Ring. And if they have an answer to this Pithing Needle, then I have a Terra Sunder in hand that I can hopefully use on it. Yep, there's the answer. Now the question is, do I use this Terra Sunder on the One Ring, on Leyline Binding for Lantern, or on Leyline Binding for Pithing Needle? They have 3 unknown cards in hand. If I draw a land, then I would be able to just figure that out, Thoughtseize them, and then also Terra Sunder. But I don't have that luxury. I think I just need to Terra Sunder now. They have used 2 Leyline Bindings. Do they have an exile? Teferi? Yeah, I'll go ahead and just take this. This is a little bit riskier, I think, but it stops them from drawing another One Ring as they're out. I don't know if that's correct or not. It's probably not correct. Kind of regretting that a little bit, actually. I don't believe I should wait until upkeep to dodge Force, because they can just draw 3 cards in response to me casting that spell if I wait till upkeep. At least now they have to naturally draw a Prismatic Ending on the One Ring, on the Needle. All right, and now we are in the dirt. I don't think I'm going to win this. I'm going to Thoughtseize them now, but I don't think it's going to much matter. I think they just have so many cards in hand that it just doesn't matter what I do. Wow, really? Just like that, huh? All right, sure. Thundering Falls. And I will take the... Do I take the Solitude in this situation, actually? I might take the Solitude. No, I'm going to take the Wrath of the Skies. Just take the obvious thing. But yeah, they've got a Runaway Ring. This, I probably should have just hit the ring. Now I'm going to start taking damage. They're going to draw a ton of cards. They're going to go up to 8 cards in hand. And there's no way I'm winning this. Not at all. They surveilled... Oh, they surveilled Flage into their graveyard. All right, yep. I'll take one more draw step just to make sure, and then I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. I don't need to be doing this anymore. So, what did I learn from this match? I learned that a one-land hand is bad. That's what I learned. I think that throwing away the Ensnaring Bridge in that situation was probably the correct thing. I think that I misselected my target for the Terra Sunder. I think I should have known that my opponent would likely have more removal for Pithing Needles than they would have One Rings. And I should have just taken the One Ring when I had the chance. I got smart, I got cheeky. It did not work. And yeah, I lost the match because of it, I think. No worries, I'll go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be on to the next one. All right, we are on round 2 versus Ashiel. And this hand is terrible. This hand is much less terrible. But still not great. What does this hand do? This hand does turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Brutality, and then what? And then what? I'd have to top deck. I would have to severely, majorly top deck. If I top deck really, really, really well, then this hand works. But I don't think I can responsibly keep it. This hand is significantly better. I'm going to keep Thoughtseize, Stirring, Saga, Land, I think. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. And I will Thoughtseize my opponent on turn 1. And they're playing an aggressive list. Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, Ajani Nakata Pariah. The Ocelot Pride will go the widest. I think I will just take the Ocelot Pride here. There's that Godless Shrine. There's the Guide of Souls. I drew a land. Let's go ahead and fire off this Stirrings. Maybe if I find an Ensnaring Bridge, then I'll be okay. Yeah, Ensnaring Bridge, let's take it. I would very much like to not draw any more lands, thank you. Let's just draw some spells. Okay, I got an Ether Hub. This is the Ajani Nakata Pariah. They've got the 3 energy. They paid it. I'll take a little bit of damage here. But, yeah, this means that I am able to play out this Ensnaring Bridge. Save myself a little bit of damage from that Guided Souls that now cannot attack. Ajani is a pretty big problem here. I'm not going to lie about that. I would much rather not have to face the Ajani. But I'm not super duper worried. Now I'm definitely not super duper worried. Well, I got a trophy already. I don't think I'm creating a construct here. But I do need something that's going to help me. I have plenty of lands. They don't have a way to kill their Ajani right now. I think I want to get a Lantern, honestly. And then I'll suspend Profane Tutor this turn. And then Profane Tutor can get me a Mill Rock. And then, oh, Thoughtseize. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's go ahead and suspend Profane Tutor. Suspend Profane Tutor. And now I'm only taking 1 damage next turn. Marionette Apprentice, eh? They milled the Marionette Apprentice. That's interesting. They don't have the energy. I do think I want to Thoughtseize them because I need to make sure what their last card is. It's not going to be something terrible. So I will go ahead and Thoughtseize. I'm going to be taking a little bit of damage from this Ajani. I think that's okay. Oof. That hurt. It was a Galvanic Discharge the entire time, huh? Fortunately, they don't have any other red permanents right now. So, Arena of Glory and Arid Mesa. All right, so what's my attack plan right now? They're going to draw this Ocelot Pride. They still don't have any red things. So they can create a 2/1 and then not deal damage to me. I have this Assassin's Trophy in hand that will handle this Ajani. So I think next turn, I'm going to... Well, let's actually see if they draw the Ocelot Pride. They might not. They don't. If they draw something terrible, then I'm going to be in bad shape. Marsh Flats is not terrible, but they did fetch a Surveil land, so let's see what's underneath of it. Chthonian Nightmare. Can I afford to let them draw Chthonian Nightmare? I don't think I can. I don't think I can afford to let them draw that. I'm going to go ahead and fetch this swamp or something here. I'm going to copy Lantern with the Mycosynth Gardens. And I'm going to make them emergency shuffle. That's unfortunate. And this game is starting to get away from me a little bit, actually. Yeah, this game's starting to get away from me. So on my upkeep, this Profane Tutor is going to come off Suspend. What do I grab with this? Let's find out. I might grab a... If I grab a Millrock, then I need to keep them off of answers to a Johnny basically for... I need to keep them off of ways to kill their own creatures basically forever. Which means that I need to fade the Amped Raptor. If I do take Cyclone Suggestion and grab a Needle, then that means that I need to fade a significantly smaller amount of problems. And I would have the ability to use Assassin's Trophy on something else, but I wouldn't have any control over the top of their deck. I think I'm willing to accept this for now. I will go ahead and play... Do I play Pithing Needle here, actually? Let me see. We've got the Arena of Glory in hand still. I'm going to be taking 5. Yeah, Ajani's just got to go. And I still need to fade this Amped Raptor. Oh, I named the wrong side of Ajani. Dang it. Oh, I named the Pariah and not the Avenger. Let's see if my opponent sees through it. If my opponent doesn't see through it, then there's no need for me to do anything different. Yeah, that hurt. That was a punt. And they revealed the Static Prison anyway. All right, you know what? I think I am comfortable with conceding this game. That hurt. That hurt a lot. All right, so what does my sideboard guide for this matchup say? It says take out all of my consistency and bring in an additional Pithing Needle. Bring in my Playing Tendrils, my Toxic Deluge, and bring in my Bloodchief's Thirst. How do I feel about this sort of sideboard plan? I would want to bring in Extirpate, possibly, but over what? Over Clean to Dust, maybe? Do I really think that Extirpate is going to be better than Clean to Dust? I'm not entirely convinced. I think I'm going to submit as is and see what happens. I would like to be on the play. I would preferably not like to have a 1-land hand. Pretty please. This hand has a very clear progression. It does turn 1 Lantern, turn 2 Thoughtseize Needle, and turn 3 Saga tokens. I think that's probably good enough. Let's go ahead and play this and play this. That is a turn 1 Ocelot Pride. Yeah, Sun Cleanser's fine. You can draw a Sun Cleanser, 2 mana, 1 power creature, that's fine. All right, let's go ahead and Thoughtseize my opponent. That is a double Marionette Apprentice. That's kind of terrifying. What ways do they have to kill their stuff? I could take the Amped Raptor, put Needle on a 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘 Pariah. They would create a thing next turn, but I would have Urza's Saga tokens to block a bunch of stuff and hopefully stall for long enough. I think I'm going to take the Amped Raptor, and I'm just going to hope that they don't... That's very interesting. And I'm going to name the correct side of this time. It's the Avenger, not the Pariah. So I'm going to take the Amped Raptor. I'm going to hope that they're not able to... Jeez, man. Not able to do anything meaningful with their Marionette Apprentices. I'm going to take a hit from this Ocelot Pride, and then I will stonewall it for the rest of the game, hopefully. They did play the Marionette Apprentice. They're going to swing in with this Ocelot Pride. I will take a damage. That's fine. They don't have anything that needs to be Thoughtseized right away. Let's go ahead and... Ooh, that's an interesting card. Do I want to draw that Toxic Deluge? Having Toxic Deluge on top of my deck... Huh. So, hear me out. I could instead play Thoughtseize Pixis and then draw Toxic Deluge and then just play it. Urza Saga would pop. I could dig myself into a bridge. I think I'm going to do this, actually. Oh, actually, hang on. I would take 4 next turn. I would Toxic Deluge for 2. That would bring me down to 11. Thoughtseize brings me down to 9. I would take 5 or 4. I would go down to 5. Fetching from this brings me to 4. This line isn't free, but it doesn't kill me. I'm going to take their Marionette Apprentice. Oh, right. They have another Ajani in hand. I think I kind of have to take the Ajani. Thought they had a Marsh Flats in hand for some reason. I must have misclicked. That's unfortunate. Well, Ajani just straight up represents a ton of damage. It's May flip, right? Yeah, it is a May. Well, I'm kind of priced into this, aren't I? I'm not necessarily priced into this. Ajani represents 3 power and Marionette Apprentice represents 2 power. And they can't play it next turn. Or else it'll just get swept up. But if they play the Marionette Apprentice next turn, then I can't actually kill their board. I think I take the Marionette Apprentice. Oh, and I F6'd. Alright, I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have played the Pixis out at least. Alright, so I'm going to take an additional damage from this Ajani. All right. I'm going to take a lethal damage from this, actually. Huh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have to pay 2 into it. Yeah, dang. I'm getting creamed this league. That was a bad misplay, too. I could have just made a blocker. Killed this Ocelot Pride or something. Yeah, Toxic Deluge wasn't good enough. I'm going to go ahead and just do it anyway, knowing that I'm going to die. Yeah, there's just nothing I can do. Go ahead and grab a Pixis. It just doesn't matter. Yeah, I've lost this game. I'll just go ahead and eat the L. Too much life was lost. Yep. Here we go. I'm going to take 8. This game brought to you by me mistracking my opponent's hand. If I had known that they had what they had in their hand, then I might have played that differently. I might have done my math differently. That's all right. I'll go ahead and start up another match. I'll be right back. I am muted. Yes, thank you for noticing. So yeah, my thought process behind that was, oh, they got 1 land. My thought process behind that was that I want to have the 3rd land guaranteed for my Urza Saga, and I was also able to cast my Lantern of Insight on turn 2 off of the Urza Saga. It's not going to be that big of a deal. I am not convinced that my game plan changes, except if they have a fetch land on top of their deck. If this Lantern resolves, then I might actually play this Pithing Needle. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize them. Let's see if it's even worth it to make construct tokens. Wow. This is something. Let's go ahead and show everyone what's going on with that, huh? Or not. Interesting. Reason borrower isn't taking for some reason. How do I want to handle this? X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life, where X is the number of swamps you control. I think I will take the Bitter Blossom, actually. Because my plan here is to overwhelm them with constructs. Oh, there's the land that they're not going to draw. And they had another counterspell, right? Yeah, the Bitter Blossom is gone. Thoughtseize is gone. For some reason, I'm not able to add Bitter Blossom to their hand. Brazen Borrower, I mean. So here's an interesting question. Do I allow them to draw this Sunken Ruins? I don't think I have to. I could just Pixis, try to take that Sunken Ruins. I think it is straight up fairies, honestly. Do I want to Pixis away their Sunken Ruins? If I do that and they have another land on top, then that's going to feel terrible. I think that what they are doing here doesn't line up very well against what I'm doing anyway. I will just go ahead and go through with my original plan of making construct tokens and overwhelming them. Okay, so they play the Sunken Ruins. They're holding up counter magic, a bunch of other stuff. The Consuming Corruption will not kill my constructs, which is what they really need it to do. Let's go ahead and grab a Mill Rock here, actually. I will grab a Codex Shredder. All right, let's go ahead and swing in. They're going to play the Spellstutter Sprite to block. Petty Theft, that's fine. I will take the Bitter Blossom. Dress Down is fine. And now we are switching gears. Do I want to try and mill myself into a third land? What's in their hand right now? Consuming Corruption, Counterspell, Spell Snare, Stillstutter Strike, Counterspell, Dress Down. They have a ton of stuff in their hand. I think I will mill myself into a third land. I don't really want this Grafdigger's Cage right now. Third land, please. Profane Tutor? All right. I'm not actually under any pressure right now. My opponent, on the other hand, is under quite a bit of pressure. They just take it. All right, I can respect that. I think they have a Spellstutter Sprite on top of their library. I have a Mishra's Bauble on top of mine. I think I'm just not going to give them a counterspell target. I'm just going to suspend Profane Tutor. They're probably going to Dress Down here. Yep, there's the Dress Down. They got Spellstutter Sprite and Spell Pierce. Dress Down is gone. And they will need to discard a card here. They discard the Consuming Corruption. That's probably fair. I'll go ahead and play out Ixis, actually. I'm just not entirely certain what I would be naming with Pithing Needle. And I think they might actually try and counterspell this with all the stuff that they've got in their hand. Spell Stutter Sprite, that's fine. Do I just start chewing through their counterspells? They have what? 1, 2, 3, 4 counterspells that I care about? Yeah, I'll go ahead and start chewing through their counterspells. They've got Counterspell, Counterspell, Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, Spell Stare, Spell Stutter Sprite. They're about to get more fairies into play. That Spell Stutter Sprite will start to become more relevant, and it will increase their clock, even if it's by a little bit. But if I take the Spell Pierce, and that means they can't preordain unless they hit a land. I think I'm going to take the Spell Pierce. And I will pop this Bauble now because I do want to draw that Mycosynth Gardens. And let's see what is underneath this Mycosynth Gardens before I decide if I'm going to mill that preordain or not. Oh wait, I'm not going to be drawing that anyway. Oh well. Yeah, I don't think I want them to draw the preordain. That's going to dig them into more lands. Bitter Blossom at this point in time is fine. If they want to play that and let me slam my Ensnaring Bridge, I am a-okay with that. I'm going to take 1 point of damage. And yeah, they're not seeing it. Target creature you control connives X, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. Alright, that's fine. And here, do I even... Let's find out. I might just grab some more mill rocks, start chewing through my opponent's resources as far as their counter spells are concerned. If I can draw good cards and they cannot draw good cards, then they only have a Spell Stutter Sprite in play as their only sort of clock. But that Brazen Borrower is going to be coming down at some point too. I might just grab an Inquisition. Counterspell, Counterspell, Spell Stutter Sprite, huh? Yeah, I'll go ahead and grab an Inquisition. Unfortunately, Collective Brutality is going to just eat one of these irrelevant spell snares. Interesting. You know what I could do? I could Pithing Needle, and then I could Assassin's Trophy their Spell Stutter Sprite, and then they'll just, you know, play another Spell Stutter Sprite to counter it, and then they'll have double the clock. That just will not be an effective answer to what they're doing. I think I'm going to play Pithing Needle here. And I'll just name the card that I see. I don't think that they're playing the One Ring or anything like that. And if my opponent taps out to put another Spell Stutter Sprite into play, then I will just take the opportunity to trophy their Sprite. Playing that as a land for turn. Okay, this is my opportunity to get ahead of the game. If they Spell Stutter Sprite this, and they wisely do not, then that would give me an opening to resolve a bridge. But now they have quite a bit of mana, actually. Bitter Blossom. But now they only have a couple of counterspells in hand. So I will go ahead and play this Verdant Catacombs. I will Inquisition them. They're revealing their hand. I think I take the Spellstutter Sprite. Because this is a fairy. It's going to create a fairy on their next turn, and this Spellstutter Sprite will now be able to take my Ensnaring Bridges anyway. Yeah, I'll take it. This Collective Brutality is just kind of rotting in hand. I could make a copy of Codex Shredder instead of just testing their counter magic right now, because they don't actually have that much of a clock, and I have a little bit of life to work with. But now I am pivoting to just resolving these Ensnaring Bridges. Playing to Dust, huh? And I suppose they do still have this Brazen Borrower in their exile zone that they can use to increase their clock. So I am under a little bit of pressure here, aren't I? If I can find another discard spell, then I'll be okay. How many discard spells have I played so far? Played 3 of them. I have 4 left in my deck. I'd need a 4-outer out of 40 cards. I think I'm going to go ahead and slam an Ensnaring Bridge. I'm fully expecting this to get counterspelled. Yep, there it is. At the very least, they're not deploying their Brazen Borrower this turn. That's gonna happen, that's fine. And I pretty desperately at this point do need to dig myself into an answer to the counterspell in their hand, which means I need a 1-mana discard spell. So let's go ahead and find one. Alternatively, I could Stirrings for a bridge, but I think if I am going to Stirrings for a bridge, then I'm just going to mill myself into a bridge anyway. Urza Saga, huh? Do I want this Urza Saga? I feel like I would rather just... No, I need a high roll here. There we go. That's a high roll. Alright, Thoughtseize. Take the last counterspell out of my opponent's hand. Slam Ensnaring Bridge. My opponent has Spell Snare, and Dress Down to answer the Ensnaring Bridge. None of those things really work. I'm going to take a little bit of damage here, and I think that's okay. Yes, Maple, apparently it is 2015. They're going to go ahead and cast this Brazen Borrower from exile. I don't really care about that. All right, and now I just need to worry about the dress down in their hand. They don't really have much of a way to manipulate the top card of their deck. I'm going to take one from this. It's not going to matter. The thing that matters here is... Ooh. Okay, sure, I guess. Unfortunately, the Spymaster's Vault is Pithing Needled, so they cannot actually use it. I guess Pithing Needle coming in marginally handy in that situation. My opponent is trying to figure out that Spymaster's Vault has been Pithing Needled. They haven't been able to do it yet. I guess they must have just figured it out. All right. So Counterspell on top. I'll go ahead and try to mill myself into something else. Yeah, Profane Tutor is fine, I guess. I might not actually be able to resolve any more mill rocks this game. I'm just gonna have to be careful. All right, I think I will take one card. And I will also take that card. See if they want to cycle their dress down into this preordained. They do not. I wouldn't have faulted them for doing it. I really need to play a little bit faster, don't I? All right, let's go ahead and play a little bit faster then. I'll go ahead and take the dress down. Oop, 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 oop. No, no, no. Cling to dust, you say? That's interesting. Makes me wish I had grabbed a Pixis somewhere if I had the option to. They might actually die to the Bitter Blossom. That's fair. They let me do it. Which means that the thing that I grab must be something that preferably can't be countered. Like an Urza Saga. I'll go ahead and do that. See if they want to counter my Mishra's Bauble. Urza Saga, go. Oh, I can cling their cling. That's fair. And I think I will go ahead and take their cling to dust here. The Meat Hook Massacre, that's fine. Oh, that's not fine. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Huh. Well, I can actually outpace this, right? They don't have anything in play that makes tokens. Yeah, I'll let them draw this. They can wipe their entire board if they want to. And let's go ahead and take their top card. Hopefully it's not another Brazen Borrower on top after this. They have Bitter Blossom, but I have Underworld Cookbook. But this Orcish Bowmasters might actually be lethal. 10, 1, 2, and the Orcish Bowmasters will actually deal me an additional damage. Interesting. Yeah, I might be in trouble here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take their Orcish Bowmasters, see if they see the line. Interesting. Yeah, they see the line here. Yeah, I did not need to open myself up to this. All right, so they're going to draw the Polluted Delta. They're going to mill the Undercity Sewers. That's not the right card. All right, yep, I just didn't need to do that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now they're not going to have enough to kill. Not sure what they're tapping out for. Meathook Massacre isn't an instant speed spell, is it? Ah, it's a Cling to Dust. Alright, well, yep, you got it. If you can find something good off of this Preordain, yep, that's an Orcish Bowmasters. Alright, yeah, I didn't need to open myself up to this. I'm just not playing very tight this league. I apologize. It's just not that good. Damn, that feels bad. I just did not need to open myself up to any of this. All I had to do was just mill the Meathook Massacre and it would have been fine. Now let's see if my opponent can kill me or not. They're trying to. Bowmaster would have dealt me an additional damage, and it would have created... Oh, interesting. I was at 13. I guess Bowmaster wouldn't have killed me. Wow, sure. All right. Yeah, I was just being dumb. Happens. Anyway, this game is still going. See, now I don't actually need to discard quite yet. I think I'm still probably stable. I just need to fetch something good off of this Urza's Saga. Like a lantern, perhaps. Let's go ahead and grab a lantern. I think my opponent uses Counterspell here. Well, I don't actually have the ability to cling, do I? I don't have a Cling to Dust in my graveyard right now. I think my opponent is counterspelling this. Their spell set are spreading it, that's fine. I will go ahead and just gain my life now. It's a shame I needed to discard the Fomori Vault to do it, but I suppose I didn't need to discard the Fomori Vault to do it, but I wanted to. No, I haven't had Cling in my graveyard this entire time. Alright, and now we're right where we were at, except they have a bunch of stuff in hand that I don't actually know what it is. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Still not dying here. And I don't believe they have any way to draw from the top of their deck, or at least I certainly hope not. If they have a Brazen Borrower in hand, then they win. If they have some sort of way to cantrip, then that's going to suck. But I don't think they do. That's fine. Let's just go ahead and discard this Collective Brutality immediately and gain the life. I am running out of time here. I do need to win the game eventually. I guess the Bitter Blossom will win the game, won't it? X damage to target creature or planeswalker and you gain X life? Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. Force of Negation is fine. And at this point, I just need to hope that their last card in hand is not anything good. I'm not sure which land I have milled recently. I think I milled a land early on. Force Negation, that's fine. Actually, I don't need to do that. I don't need to mill them. Their Bitter Blossom will kill them. Ooh, my computer is chugging. And I think I'm at a high enough life total now where I can not necessarily discard this Mycosynth Gardens. That being said, the way that I lose this game is by my opponent Whatever, I already played it. It's fine. Yeah, I think I will do a Moto restart. This is just a lot. But I'm not actually sure my computer is fast enough to restart Moto and allow me to sideboard. Yeah, Orcish Bowmasters just isn't good enough here. Alright, let's go ahead and discard this. I'm not even going to gain the life, I'm just going to F6. I think I am going to risk the Moto restart. This hand hasn't been updated in a long time. Go ahead and try and mill that preordain. Yeah, you got it. Are they just Meat Hook massacring now? No, they're gaining life. Yeah, that's fair. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to kill them the old-fashioned way. Let's go ahead and have this copy that. Oh, it's really chugging. It's really chugging. Well, their strategy here is still to play Meat Hook Massacre. So I see what they're doing. I need to auto-yield to these. They can play the Meat Hook Massacre, and they can still gain life with their Clean to Dust if they need to. But very interesting that they played the Bitter Blossom, I guess. 13, 14, 16, 17, 19, 21. I still have a food token that I can do. Yeah, let's just go ahead and pop this now. Alright, you got it. Wipe your board. Kill me for a bunch. I don't think this is enough to kill me. Yeah, it's not enough to kill me. Well, let's go ahead and discard this. This is Demir Fairies. They're doing something. They're gaining more life. That's fine. Interesting. I thought I auto-yielded to that already. Well, let's go ahead and mill them out. Wow. Yeah, I need to restart Moto. They only had one Brazen Borrower in their deck the entire time. Okay. Restart Moto. I'll be right back. Well, my computer is old and terrible, and Moto acts like that normally, actually. That's kind of the reason why I'm not able to have any real animations on my stream, and I'm not able to use my camera, is because my computer is just absolutely terrible. Let's make sure that Moto has actually started, because sometimes Moto doesn't start when I click on it to start. It did not start. All right. All right, there we go. Come on, let's go. It's still loading. It's still loading. Yep, and I think the match is over. This is what I get when Moto restarts. My computer's just not strong enough to run this program. I'm gonna try restarting it again, see what happens. All right. Looks like I missed the entirety of my sideboarding time, and I'm just running into... Oh, geez. Oh, it's really chugging. And it crashed again. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and mark this match as lost. I'll just be back in a second. I'll wait for my timer to run out, and I'll return and I'll queue up round 4. If I can get the program to restart. Yeah, my wine installation is basically just blue screening at this point. I'm not sure what's going on. But I'm also running this on... I'm not even running this on Windows. I'm running this on Wine. My computer is actually not strong enough to run Windows, if you could believe that. So I'm running a more bare bones Linux installation. I can't even run normal Linux installations because the GNOME desktop is too heavy for my computer to handle. Yeah, I'm going to invest in beefier hardware as soon as I can. Hopefully I'll have a nice new computer built here in another month or so. But in the meantime, I'm just going to have to keep struggling with this. Yeah, Magic Online just keeps opening and then immediately crashing when the game loads up. I'm just going to take a break here. I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes, and I'm going to see what happens. All right, so good news. Magic is running again. Bad news is I spent 8 minutes trying to restart and it just was not good enough. I am 0-3. I think part of that is at least due to my computer's hardware not being strong enough to run this game. Part of it was misplays that I made in this match, though. I'll save it for the review stream. All right, I'll go ahead and boot up round 4. All right, we are on round 4 versus Nick Bolas 90 with quite possibly the best hand we've seen this entire time. I will go ahead and keep this. Fortunately, I just did a bunch of resets of Moto, so hopefully it will be running smoothly this time. My opponent has mulligan to 6. I don't need to fire off Lantern immediately. But if I do fire off Lantern immediately, then it means that I can dig myself to my 3rd land. So I think I will, even though this might get countered. In turn 2, if this does get countered, then I can bobble Shredder into an Inquisition. Yeah, let's see what happens. They're going to go ahead and Surveil. That's fine. Surveilled Polluted Delta. I will go ahead and cast this Mishra's Bauble now, actually. And now I don't even need to dig to my 3rd land. That's nice. Psychic Frog, huh? All right. I don't know if I want to draw this Mycosynth Gardens. Whatever's under the Mycosynth Gardens, I mean. I don't think I need to quite yet. I think I can just Inquisition my opponent right here. See what they have in hand. Probably taking some sort of counterspell if they have it. And I think I actually do want to keep the Mishra's Bauble in play. I kind of want to just play out my spells. Force of Negation. You got it. I'm not going to mill this Preordain. I have a Thoughtseize in hand. But if they're willing to spend a Force of Negation exiling a Murktide Regent to get rid of that, I am okie dokie with that. That's one of their 2 cards in hand. Oh, I played the Mycosynth Gardens and not the Urza's Saga. Dang it. Oh, that's annoying. They did end up drawing the Psychic Frog. If your opponent casts a Preordain and nothing appears in the revealed card zone, then they drew whatever was on top of their deck. I'll go ahead and mill that Codex Shredder. Mill the counterspell, I mean. You may have an Unholy Heat, that's fine. And now I actually will go ahead and pop the Mishra's Bauble. If I find a 1-drop on top of my deck, then I'll be able to play it. Fomori Vault is fine. Oh, I drew a Blooming Marsh. I think the ship has sailed on the Urza Saga. I'm going to Thoughtseize my opponent here. They have an expressive iteration. I will take that. Snap that up. And now I just need to fade just a little bit of stuff. You may have a lightning bolt. Unholy Heat is gone. Island is gone. My opponent is correctly identifying where this matchup is going and that they need to deal more combat damage, but they are not correctly identifying that they need to keep their Psychic Frogs small so that they can draw more cards. Lightning Bolts is fine. Main board to consign to memory is not fine in this situation. Mistress Bauble is fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and slam this Ensnaring Bridge. My opponent will not be able to attack with their Psychic Frogs next turn, even though I'll have a land in hand. And I'll be okay. Let's go ahead and play this Urza Saga finally. Should have been played a couple of turns ago. And that's a concession. All right, we take those. All right, so it seems to be some sort of, what was it, like a blue-red interesting stuff. Did they even play black? I don't think so. It seems to just be classic blue-red Murktide. How do I want to sideboard against classic blue-red Murktide? They don't have much reach, and I am willing to believe that they're not going to have anything that Grafdigger's Cage will care about. Pithing Needle is okay, not fantastic. I think I have better answers to the things that they've got. Collective Brutality is not very good. I think I'd rather have my Duresses. Bloodchief's Thirst is good. Do I bring in my Toxic Deluge? I might bring in my Toxic Deluge, just as a one-of board wipe. I do not believe Flaying Tendrils is very good in this matchup, because they can just make their Darcy's into 3/3s, and they can make their Psychic Frogs as big as they want. But Toxic Deluge is interesting because I can adjust the X that I pay for it to just wipe everything. Do I want the Cling to Dust? I don't think so. I think I'd rather have a Profane Tutor over Cling to Dust, and I'd rather have a Bauble over Cling to Dust as well. I will go ahead and keep this in. All right, this hand. What does this hand do? This hand has Thoughtseize into double Ensnaring Bridge. It also has a Bloodchief's Thirst to take their turn 1 or turn 2 play. I'm happy with this hand. It doesn't have much of a lock, but I think that if I draw even one relevant spell, or even a third land, then I'll be okay with keeping this. My opponent also snap mulliganed, which means that this Thoughtseize is going to be very good, hopefully. There's my third land. All right, well, I'll go ahead and play out this Blooming Marsh. I'm going to play Pixis, actually. I don't really think I need to be playing my Thoughtseize quite yet. I can Thoughtseize into Bloodchief's Thirst next turn. If you snap off a Consign to Memory on this Pixis of Pandemonium, I will take that. They do not. They will surveil. They surveil to top. I will take that card. And let's see what they play here. If they play out a threat, I have it covered. I can Thoughtseize into Bloodchief's Thirst. And it looks like they might be playing a threat. Maybe a Darcy? Okay, Darcy's fine. That's something that I can hit with a Bloodchief's Thirst. I think I will play the Dark Boar Pathway here. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize my opponent. Counterspell, Consign, Spell Snare. Isn't Spell Snare almost completely dead now? In fact, I think I can just do this, right? Yep, that works. I will take the Consign to Memory. It's the cheapest answer that they have. And let's just go ahead and kill this guy. I will play my Mishra's Bauble here. Let's see what my opponent does. That is a Thundering Falls, which they had in hand already, so I still don't know what their last card in hand is. And they are blanking. Yeah, I'll take it. Codex Shredder, I don't think I want in this situation. I have a Pixis already. I'll go ahead and exile that. Draw 2 unknown cards. Double Inquisition, you say? I will go ahead and fire off 1 Inquisition. They're going to counterspell this. That's fine. What does that tell me? That tells me that they probably didn't have anything that they were doing this turn anyway. I'll go ahead and just let them have that. Dragon's Rage Channeler. I will go ahead and fetch up my Shockland here. If I can draw an untapped land, I think that would be the best possible situation for me. I will also take a Duress. Duress is fine. Lightning Bolts. So this will take the Spell Snare. They kept it on top. I'll go ahead and take the Spell Snare. And do I Duress just to get the card out of my hand? I don't think so. I think I can save that. I'll go ahead and take the card on top of their hand. On top of their deck. This has to be exactly Counterspell, or I just slam a bridge. I'll just go ahead and slam bridge. If this gets countered, oh well. It did not get countered. And the next turn, I have Duress into Lantern. And I will do it Duress into Lantern, because I want to make sure that my Lantern resolves. They have 2 unknowns in hand. Psychic Frog, that's fine. Because if they're holding up like a Consign to Memory here, then that would suck. That's not a Consign to Memory. That is a Steam Vents. All right, let's go crazy. And admittedly, I did draw pretty well to get out of that situation. And my opponent is drawing pretty poorly. Quite poorly, actually. All right, here's the classic Thoughtseize Yourself line. I just want that Psychic Frog to stop drawing cards, really. All right. Wow, my opponent has drawn 5 lands in a row. I feel bad for them. And I'm just continuing to draw straight gas. All right. I will take that preordain. Just doesn't matter. Yeah, you can have a counterspell. And here I'll just make a copy of Pixis, and this game's pretty much wrapped up. Yeah, I had some pretty good luck, and my opponent had some pretty piss poor luck, I think. Lesson from this match is to be lucky. I don't even think I need to take that. And I do need to break parity here, because I have less cards than my opponent does, so I will grab a Shredder. Let's go ahead and start removing some stops. Mill the Force of Negation, that doesn't matter. And I think I have a strong enough position established to where I can just start closing out the game. I think it was worth noting here that I did get quite a bit lucky, but I also think that my strategy of just kill their things and buy time worked. Yeah, I don't want you to have that preordain. I don't want you to have that Sink into Stupor. You can have Consign, that's fine. Thanks, Maple. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll be able to at least 2-3 this league and get a little bit of my play points back. The technical problems that I've been having have just been absolutely miserable, though. All right. Yep, you can have a Murktide. I'll go ahead and duress my opponent here just to make sure, I suppose. I think they don't have anything in hand, but, you know, whatever. This is a counterspell or a force or something. They kept it on top, huh? Pretty sure I've been letting them draw lands this entire time. It's weird. Maybe they're just trying to keep themselves from decking as much as they can. All right, well, let's go ahead and accelerate that process. This is going to be really quick. Oh, what matchup was that? Matchup was that? I actually don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember which matchup I lost 0-2. I don't think it was Fairies. I think Fairies was the third match. Honestly, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to check my log just to make sure. Ah, here we are. Yeah, I'll go ahead and check my log just to make sure which match I lost 0-2. Give me just a second. I lost to Mardu Energy 0-2. Okay. We are getting started with round 5. Let's go ahead and be on the play. Hello, Chuckling Adam. Thank you for playing against me. This hand that I have here has an Ensnaring Bridge, has an Inquisition, has the 3 lands to cast it, and has a Bauble Scry. Is that good enough? It doesn't have any semblance of a lock at all. But if Ensnaring Bridge will buy me some time, then I think that's okay. I'll go ahead and keep it. I don't think that Mardu Energy is honestly that bad of a matchup. I think I just played incredibly poorly. Like, it's still certainly not a favored matchup, I think. But, oh boy, did I really do quite badly against it. Gemstone Caverns. What did they exile to it? Another Gemstone Caverns, huh? I will grab Overgrown Tune. I don't think a deck that's got Gemstone Caverns in it is going to be dealing damage to me in little chunks. Yep. They're not dealing damage to me in little chunks. So, I'm going to take this Wren's Resolve. And then next turn, I'm just going to slam Grafdigger's Cage, and that's going to make my life a lot easier. Let's go ahead and play the Stirrings. Really, the only thing that I would grab here over the Grafdigger's Cage. Huh. I could play Lantern. If I play Lantern, then does my opponent have the ability to win next turn? No. I don't believe my opponent can win next turn. And that would let me see what the last card in their hand is as well. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take a bit of a risk here, and I'll play Lantern. If I end up losing because of this, that's going to feel real bad. All right, so they have Mountain, Past in Flames, Scatter Shoal, Smashing, and Wish. If they had played the Mountain and not revealed what they drew this turn, I do not believe I would make this play. I find it very interesting that they did that. Yeah, Ruby Medallion is fine. All right, there's the Ruby Medallion. Go ahead and play out your Mountain. Or Shatter Skull Smashing, that's fine too. All right, I will go ahead and put that stop back on my upkeep. Cling to Dust is a very good draw. All right, let's play out our hand. Grafdigger's Cage. Ixis. Underworld Cookbook. Now, my opponent is on a blue-red build, which means they could wish into the Flood Maw next turn. So I think I am going to... Do I take this wish? If they do that, then they don't have any hand. I think I'll take the wish. Ooh, that's a Reckless Impulse. That's not good. They're just going to go ahead and wish here. Ooh, Brotherhood's End. Yeah, you got it. There's a Saga. I think they're just going to go ahead and Reckless Impulse here. And they hit a Scalding Tarn and a Shatter Skull Smashing. Now, my opponent notably doesn't really have much going on now. But I think they might still be favored to win this game. Top of their deck is this Reckless Impulse. Yeah, you got it. All right, and now they have created an opening for themselves, and I actually think that they might be able to do something about it. Let's see. Yeah, I think they win from here. I'll go ahead and F6 and let them execute their win. That Brotherhood's End in their sideboard is kind of terrifying. Perhaps if I had taken their Wish instead of their Ren's Resolve, then we wouldn't be in this situation. I need to have more respect for that. I'll go ahead and mark this as a loss. I don't think that they're going to fizzle here. Yeah, see, they're already at 8. They're going to go ahead and just flip it. All right. What did they hit? Flame of Anor, huh? In the main. That's quite interesting. They haven't shown me a main deck win condition. Most decks these days that are playing blue-red, this one's playing blue-red-green, are playing a Thassa's Oracle in the sideboard as their win con, or alternatively just a couple of Grape Shots. And here we go. This is lethal. Brotherhood's End, huh? Yeah, let's go ahead and do our sideboarding. So, my sideboard guide that I kind of just made up this morning says to take out all of my ensnaring bridges, which I think is completely reasonable. But to also take out a Pithing Needle, and to take out the copy of the Underworld Cookbook. Oh, if it will actually scroll. Here we go. And in exchange, bring in my third Assassin's Trophy to hit their Row, bring in my Duresses, and bring in my Extirpates. Now, I happen to also have a second Grafdigger's Cage in my sideboard, which I believe comes in. And I think that will actually come in over a Profane Tutor. So let's go ahead and try this and see what happens. I would like to play first. Thanks for asking. All right, what does this hand do? This hand does Duress, Thoughtseize. It has a Stirrings to find the third land for Saga. It has a Pithing Needle to slow my opponent down. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go fire off Duress here. No, Thoughtseize. In case they have a route. Desperate Ritual, Ruby Medallion, Wish, Ren's Resolve. Now, if I take Ren's Resolve this turn and then Wish next turn, this hand doesn't actually do much, does it? They can't Ritual into a Medallion into Ren's Resolve next turn. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the Ren's Resolve. I do have the second Duress, the second discard spell in my hand to grab the Wish out of their hand. And of course, if I top deck and extirpate at any point, that's probably pretty much game, right? If my opponent goblins me out here, then I will have lost, regardless. I'm trying to prevent them from storming off at all. Yep. And I'll take the Wish. And here, I think Bobble into Pixis is good enough. Let's just go ahead and Bobble myself. If I'm drawing a third land, which I am, then I think I will throw Needle onto Growl, Leyline, Prodigy. Alright, so now my opponent has Desperate Ritual, Ruby Medallion, and an Unknown in hand. That Unknown had better be pretty good at this point. It was not good. It was this guy, which I argue that they should have just kept in hand. And honestly here, I think it's a mistake to play Urza's Saga Constructs. I don't think the game is locked up enough. I think I'm going to Stirrings and hope to hit a Lantern of Insight. Would you look at that? All right, now play your Lantern. And they have a Scalding Tarn on top. I will fetch away that Profane Tutor. I don't want that yet. Let's go ahead and grab a Swamp, play a Pixis, and this game is over. I don't think I need the Cling to Dust, but I definitely don't want my opponent drawing that into the Flood Maw. Wow, just like that, huh? That's cool. Yeah, that's fine. All right, and here I will make a construct just to get that game over quickly enough. But, you know, it's fine. And I don't actually need to grab a Grafdigger's Cage here. I think I will just grab a third Pixis and just make sure my opponent draws absolutely nothing while I beat them to death with this construct. Pithing Needle turned out to be completely unnecessary. But this is, honestly, I think the best game plan that you can have against Storm is a couple of discard spells to take their hand apart and then a very quick lock. You need the quick lock. And I was fortunate enough to draw into the lock, but you know, it happens, I suppose. Yep, here we go. Let's just take everything that's relevant. I will Assassin's Trophy their Gemstone Caverns just to see if I can trick them into shuffling. They are shuffling. I'm fine with that. Let's go ahead and attack them. Now, interesting to note, if my opponent had... If I had grabbed a Grafdigger's Cage there, then I could have let them have that Past in Flames. But I also would have had a bit of a weaker lock. X damage, as you choose, among 2 target creatures or planeswalkers. Okay, yeah. Alright, and that is a win for game 2. We are going to be on the draw this time. I don't really think I need to do anything differently. I'll go ahead and just resubmit. Interesting to note with the Gemstone Caverns, my opponent has basically been on the play this whole time. This has a ton of discard, but no method with which to cast it. Mulligan. I feel like if I keep this hand, then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 lands. My opponent kept 6. Has a natural Grafdigger's Cage. Just has no lock in it. I think this is a turn 1 Urza Saga hand, actually. I will keep it. And I will bottom... Do I bottom a Blooming Marsh or do I bottom an Urza Saga? I think I'm going to bottom the Blooming Marsh. It's just a shame this hand doesn't have a turn 1 discard spell in it. I have no fewer than 12 discard spells in my deck. I would have liked to draw one. I could have mulliganed harder for one, I suppose. Oh, it's a duress. Okay. Well, I think it's still a turn 1 Urza Saga. I can go Blooming Marsh into duress. Ooh. I think I'm going to play Cage. I'll go Blooming Marsh into Lantern Duress next turn. Okay, my opponent has 5 cards in hand. Are they going to just try and combo kill me now? No, they're not. All right. Assassin's Trophy, you say? Makes me wish I had kept my Blooming Marsh. Oh, there's another Blooming Marsh. All right, never punished. Let's go ahead and duress. Yeah. In fact, I can do this because I made the tool to do that. So Flame of Anor is the obvious pick here. That is a Scalding Tarn. They can fetch and draw something right now. And I think here I'm going to grab a Pixis. Start controlling their draws. I don't have anything that I need to Assassin's Trophy quite yet, and I don't know if I need to hold it up. I do kind of want this Profane Tutor to come off Suspend and give me a stronger lock, though, so I think I will just go ahead and suspend Profane Tutor. I'm still not looking terribly hot. I need to keep my opponent off of basically every draw effect that I can. That's a pretty good card. I will make them burn their Metamorphose to draw this. All right. Yeah, you got a Pyretic Ritual on your draw step. If they had played that a little bit tighter, then they could have had access to that Flame of Anor, I think. Yeah, Ren's Resolve, that's fine. Hits Wooded Foothills and Wish. Wow. That's pretty brutal, I think. Well, there's not much to be done about that. All right, so what are my options here? They have Past in Flames and Pyretic Ritual in hand. They have a Wooded Foothills and a Wish in their exile that they can play. Well, first things first, I play my land. They have a Manamorphose on top of their deck. Their options are they can Wish, they can Ritual, Wish, Brotherhood's End, Past in Flames. I think I'm going to Assassin's Trophy the Ruby Medallion and lock them out of the ability to do that. All right, they have a Pyretic Ritual on top of their library. They have 5 lands. They can go 5, 6, 7, 8. They can still Wish for Brotherhood's End, but it would not leave them with enough mana to follow up before I grab something else. Here's the Wish that I knew about. A Foundation Breaker. Yeah, what are you going to target? Yes, they targeted the Grafdigger's Cage. All right. That's fine. I'll just go ahead and exile this Flame of Anor. And they'll fetch. And put Flame of Anor right on top. All right, that's fine. Yeah, you got it. Oh, Profane Tutor's coming off suspend. That's nice. I think before Profane Tutor comes off suspend, I'm going to extirpate their Wish. And see what methods they have in the main deck to actually kill me. Oh, I win the match. Okay. They did not have any methods to win. All right. Oh, man. Oh, man, this league. I do not believe I was playing very tightly to begin with. I think I had several matches in the beginning that I could have won if I had played better. In fact, give me a minute. I'll go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll be right back with a sort of conclusion thing. All right. So I had a 2-3 record today, which, looking at my matches, I don't believe... I think I could have done better than that. I think especially that third match, with it being incredibly messy, I made a ton of mistakes in that first game. And notably, I was not paying attention to my clock. And even though the MTGO client kind of dying on me contributed to that, I think I was already kind of in the crapper before that, actually. It was just a feels bad on top of it. I think I did pretty good on my other two matches. I think that's okay. I think the Mardu Energy match was especially bad as well. I don't know. I just don't feel like I had particularly tight play today. I think I might need to make some changes off stream in order to make it so that I have a bit tighter play. Perhaps I might even want to stream an additional half hour or even an hour later to give myself a bit of time to warm up. But yeah, I think the list itself was fine. I didn't really get a chance to cast Clean to Dust this league, so I can't evaluate that. I think the sideboard was good. I liked having the second Grafdigger's Cage. I might keep that. Flaying Tendrils seemed like something that I didn't cast this league. Exturbate continues to win games. The sideboard Duresses still continue to just overperform. They're just fantastic. But yeah. I think the list is okay. I think I'm going to run back this exact same 75 on my next stream, which I will have on Thursday at... What time? Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for those of you in the Americas. And if you're not in the Americas, then I've got a time in the Discord server for Lantern Control that you can check out in the description of this video. And you can see all of the times for my streams in your native time there. Thank you very much for everybody to tuning in. I appreciate it. I will clean up my play next time, I hope, and do a bit better on the next round.